What happens if tomorrow your backend changes or you add offline caching? Will your app survive or break everywhere? The secret weapon repository pattern. API layer designed repository pattern. How to abstract data sources and keep code clean. Why we need an API layer? Without a clean API layer, your app code looks like this. UI directly calling retrofit, directly touching the database, total chaos. That's mean every small change breaks multiple parts. No offline handling, hard to test. And we need an abstraction layer to keep things clean. Repository pattern. What is the idea? A repository is like a middleman between your application and the data sources. Instead of UI asking API give me data, it asks repository, hey, I just need users, you decide where from. The repository decides from API, database or cache. The UI stays simple. How it works? Imagine your app has multiple data sources like remote API from retrofit and local database from Roam and cache in memory. With repository pattern, the UI calls user repository dot get users. Repository check cache database API. The UI doesn't care where the data came from. Real example, user list screen. Without repository, we will call view model scope dot launch, and between the blocks of it, we will define a variable val users equal API. Here in the view model, we call the API from retrofit directly dot get user and database dot save the user and live data dot post value the users. But if we apply the repository pattern here, we will not call directly. We will define user repository dot get users and live data dot post value. Now the view model doesn't care whether data came from the API or database or whatever. Analogy: think of repository as a waiter. The customer UI says I want coffee. The waiter, which is the repository, decides whether to brew fresh API or serve from a pod database or use instant mix cache. The customer doesn't care, they just get coffee. Recap: without abstraction, the code will be messy and fragile. But repository play the middleman role that hides data source logic. It makes testing, caching, and switching sources much easier. A clean API layer equal flexible, testable, scalable apps. Thanks for watching and see you next video.